Listen to me carefully. What you are praying for, what you are yearning for in the quiet places of your soul, what you are waiting on with trembling hands and silent tears, God is already working on it. You may not see it, you may not feel it, you may even think heaven has gone quiet, but in the unseen, in the silence, in the spiritual realm where human eyes cannot see, God is moving. Every delay has divine intention. Every pause has a purpose. Every closed door is not rejection, but redirection. God is working on what you are waiting for. You see, people often think that when nothing is happening, God is absent. But God's greatest works often begin in silence. When your life looks still, God is actually building the foundation for your next miracle. When everything seems motionless, that's when God is organizing, orchestrating, and aligning every detail to fit His perfect plan. The waiting is not wasted, it is preparation. The delay is not denial, it is divine timing. And the silence is not abandonment, it is construction time for your breakthrough. Many people lose faith in the waiting. They think if God hasn't answered yet, He won't. But faith that only works when you see results is not faith, it's sight. Faith is when you trust God even when there is no visible evidence. Faith is when you stand still in the storm and declare, I know God is working even if I don't understand how. Faith is when you refuse to let delay destroy your confidence in divine timing. When God is silent, He is not sleeping. When God delays, He is not denying. When God hides, He is not absent. He is protecting something sacred in you. Every great destiny begins in the soil of patience. Before the tree bears fruit, it must first grow roots. Before the promise manifests, your faith must mature. God is not interested in giving you something too soon. A premature blessing can become a burden. So when He tells you to wait, He is not punishing you. He is preparing you. God is working on your request, but He is also working on you. Because sometimes you are not ready for what you are praying for. Sometimes God must shape your character before He releases your promise. When you ask God for strength, He doesn't hand you strength. He sends you struggle. Because strength grows in resistance. When you ask God for patience, He doesn't sprinkle patience into your spirit. He places you in seasons that require endurance. When you ask for wisdom, He doesn't drop wisdom from the sky. He allows you to face decisions that stretch your understanding. So while you think God is not answering, He is actually training you for the answer. The blessing is being prepared, but so are you. Do not be deceived by time. God's timing is not your timing. You may think He's late, but He's right on schedule. The problem with the human impatience is that we think waiting is wasting, but in the kingdom of God, waiting is working. In your waiting, your spirit grows. In your waiting, your faith deepens. In your waiting, your roots reach down to places that storms cannot destroy. The waiting season is when God removes what is weak and strengthens what is true. And when the time comes, you will look back and realize, had you received it earlier, you would not have been ready. Some of you are crying because you think your prayer fell on deaf ears. You have fasted, prayed, and believed, but the door hasn't opened. And now your heart whispers, maybe God forgot me. No, He hasn't. He cannot forget what He created. He cannot ignore what He loves. You are not abandoned, you are being arranged. Your life is not falling apart, it's falling into divine order. The silence of God is not the absence of His hand. It is the hidden movement of His plan. There is a reason God hides His process. If you saw everything He was doing, you would interfere. If you knew how He was preparing it, you would try to control it. So He works behind the curtain in the quiet corners of time, arranging details that are too complex for human understanding. God is working through people you haven't met yet. He is opening doors you can't see yet. He is aligning opportunities you cannot imagine yet. You may be waiting, but heaven is not idle. Heaven is active. The seeds of your future are germinating underground. You cannot see the process, but you must trust it. The soil looks silent, but something sacred is sprouting beneath the surface. God does His best work in hidden places, in the dark, in the quiet, in the unseen. Do not despise the season where nothing seems to move, because that is where faith is forged. That is where your trust in God becomes unshakable. That is where you learn to depend not on what you see, but on what you believe. Sometimes God will delay your request because He is protecting you from premature exposure. Some blessings require maturity to handle. You cannot receive the crown before you can carry the weight of responsibility that comes with it. So when you are waiting, you are not being denied. You are being developed. The waiting is shaping you into the person who can hold the blessing without being broken by it. The truth is, while you are waiting for God to move, God is waiting for you to grow. He's waiting for your mindset to shift. He's waiting for your spirit to surrender. He's waiting for your faith to become unmovable. When He sees that your heart is aligned with His will, then suddenly doors open, paths clear, and everything that was confusing begins to make sense. The waiting ends when the lesson is learned. You see, God never forgets a promise. Time does not erase His word. He does not promise and fail to perform. But He also will not deliver a blessing that your current version cannot handle. If He gave it to you too early, it would crush you. That is why He refined you in waiting, because the promise is not just for your comfort, it's for your calling. It must not only bless you, it must transform you. When God is working, it often feels like nothing is happening. But the same is true of the seed buried in the ground. It looks lifeless, but it's growing. You can't see the process because it's hidden beneath the surface. So instead of panicking in the dark, start praising in the dark. Because the darkness is not your defeat, it's your development. The soil of waiting is where miracles are planted. Do not curse your waiting season. It is holy. Do not rush it. It is sacred. God is still working when life seems still. His silence is not His absence. His delays are not His denials. His pauses are not punishments. They are positioning. God is positioning you in alignment with His plan. He's aligning your heart with your destiny. You may not like the waiting, but when the promise comes, you will thank Him for every moment He held you back. When you are waiting, you may feel forgotten, but you are being remembered in a higher realm. God has your name written in His plan. He has your situation written in His book of purpose. Every tear you cry in faith is recorded. Every moment you choose to trust instead of fear is noticed. Heaven does not ignore faith. Heaven responds to faith, but sometimes heaven's response is not speed, it is strength. God may not give you what you asked for immediately, but He will give you the power to stand until it comes. Waiting is not punishment, it's purification. God purifies your motives in waiting. He removes your dependency on people. He detaches your heart from what is temporary. He teaches you to rely completely on Him. Because when your blessing comes, you must know that it came from God, not man. That's why He takes His time. That's why He closes every other door until only His remains. That's why He allows people to walk away, so when the blessing arrives, you will have no confusion about its source. Some of you are frustrated because your plans failed, but failure is sometimes divine interruption. When God shuts down your plan, it is because He's building something better. You wanted the small version, He has the bigger one. You wanted the immediate, He's preparing the eternal. You wanted comfort, He's preparing calling. What you lost was not rejection, it was redirection. The delay is divine navigation, is God steering you away from danger and toward destiny. Even in your waiting, you are not alone. God is with you in the silence. He is whispering strength into your spirit, courage into your mind, and faith into your heart. You are growing even when you don't realize it. Your patience is becoming your power. Your stillness is becoming your strength. You are being molded into someone who will not break when the blessing arrives. God does not only give you what you pray for, He makes you into who you must become to carry it. Every test, every delay, every disappointment is divine construction. God is constructing your destiny in the dark. He is shaping the unseen architecture of your future. You may not understand why certain things had to end, why people left, or why doors closed, but one day you will. And when that day comes, you will see that everything you thought was a setback was actually set up. Everything that hurt you was shaping you. Everything that was delayed was being developed. There are moments in life when the silence of God becomes so heavy that it almost feels unbearable. You pray and hear no answer. You knock and the door remains closed. You cry and the heavens seem still. But hear me, silence does not mean abandonment. Silence means something sacred is being written in the unseen. When God is quiet, He is not ignoring you. He is shaping the environment for your breakthrough. You may not hear His voice, but you can trust His plan. You may not feel His hand, but His presence surrounds you in ways your heart cannot yet comprehend. The waiting season is sacred because it reveals what your faith is built on. Anyone can believe when the blessings flow freely, but can you believe when the ground beneath you shakes? Can you still trust God when He withholds the answer? That is where real faith lives. That is where your trust matures from emotion to conviction. When you can look at your delay and still say, God, I know you are working. You have entered into a higher dimension of a faith, one that cannot be shaken by time, disappointment, or silence. When God hides His hand, He wants you to trust His heart. And when He hides His timing, He wants you to surrender your control. We often pray for blessings, but we rarely pray for patience. We want the mountain to move, but we don't want the waiting that strengthens our legs for the climb. God loves you too much to give you something that would destroy you. So while you are asking for the blessing, God is asking for your surrender. Because only when your heart is truly surrendered can He release the abundance He has prepared for you. You see, waiting is not passive. Waiting is active faith. It's the declaration. Even though I see nothing, I believe everything. It's the posture of expectation that says, I don't need to see movement to believe that God is working. The most powerful kind of waiting is not filled with worry, but with worship. When you praise God in the middle of your uncertainty, heaven responds. When you thank Him before the answer comes, you activate divine favor. Because gratitude during delay is the highest form of faith. Many times, God delays what you desire because He is removing what could destroy it. You cannot see it, but there are people, circumstances, and spiritual barriers that must be cleared before your blessing arrives. God is a master of timing, and He will never deliver your promise into a polluted environment. He will purify your surroundings, filter your relationships, and cleanse your spirit before He manifests what you've been praying for. You might lose some people, you might see some doors closed, but that is not loss. It is divine subtraction to make room for divine addition. Some of you are waiting for opportunities that seem to have passed you by. You see others succeeding, and you wonder why you are still standing in the same place. But understand this, when God delays your opportunity, it's because He's reserving something better. You're not behind. You're being held in divine reserve. What God has for you cannot be taken by another, because destiny has your name engraved on it. What is yours will arrive when the conditions are perfect, not when you're ready, but when the entire creation is ready to receive it. Waiting exposes the depth of your trust. It reveals whether you depend on results or on relationship. The person who truly knows God does not panic when nothing seems to move, because they understand that God's movements are often invisible until the appointed time. You cannot measure divine progress by human standards. God can take one moment and change an entire lifetime. He can take one encounter, one opportunity, one shift, and suddenly everything aligns. So do not let your impatience rob you of what divine timing is preparing. There are seasons when God will allow you to feel forgotten, not because you are forgotten, but because He wants to deepen your dependence. He will remove human support so you learn to lean only on Him. He will close familiar paths so you find a higher way. He will strip away what you think you need so that you can discover that He alone is enough. The waiting season is where idols fall. It's where you discover that peace does not come from progress, but from presence, God's presence. When you trust that God is working, even in stillness, you begin to see delays differently. They no longer look like obstacles, they become indicators of divine activity. The longer it takes, the more elaborate the preparation. A small dream may take days, but a great destiny takes years. You cannot rush greatness. You cannot rush divine architecture. When God built, He built to last. He built beyond generations. So when He is taking His time, it means He is building something eternal through you. God's process often feels slow because He is working through layers we cannot see. He is aligning hearts, preparing minds, and synchronizing moments across time. What you call delay is actually divine synchronization. Every piece must fit perfectly before the masterpiece is revealed. So if you are still waiting, it means something magnificent is being arranged on your behalf. You are not forgotten. You are part of a divine sequence unfolding in perfection. Let me tell you something powerful. Every waiting season has a hidden reward. The person who waits with the faith receives not only the blessing, but also the wisdom to sustain it. Waiting matures your spirit. It teaches you to value what you receive. When the answer comes, you will cherish it because you know what it cost in faith, patience, and tears. You will handle the blessing with humility because you remember the pain of the process. You will guard it with reverence because you understand it came through divine mercy. There is something sacred about trusting God in the dark. When everything around you is uncertain, and yet you say, God, I still trust you. The universe shifts. The energy of faith draws divine favor. The unseen responds to the unshaken heart. God moves through belief that refuses to die. Your faith becomes the bridge between your waiting and your miracle. Even if it's just a whisper of hope, hold on to it. That small spark of faith is enough to ignite a transformation you cannot yet imagine. You see, God does not need your help. He needs your trust. Stop trying to figure everything out. Stop trying to force doors open. Stop trying to control what only God can command. The reason some people are exhausted is because they are trying to do divine work with the human hands. Let go of the obsession with the outcomes and focus on obedience. Your job is to trust. God's job is to act. When you do your part, He will do His, and His part is always greater. When you wait with peace, you declare that you believe in the wisdom of a divine timing. You are telling the universe, I know my time will come because my life is under God's control. That calm, unwavering faith is not weakness, it is power. Because peace in waiting is the proof of maturity. It shows that your trust has graduated beyond emotion. You no longer panic when life pauses because you understand that God is still operating even in stillness. Sometimes God makes you wait because He wants to show you that He can bless you without your effort. He wants you to see that His power does not depend on your performance. The moment you surrender the outcome, He steps in. As long as you hold the steering wheel, He stands back. But when you release it and say, God, have your way, that's when miracles begin to unfold. Because faith is not control, it's surrender. And surrender is the language heaven understands. When you finally receive what you've been waiting for, it will make sense why God took so long. You look back and see that if He had answered earlier, the foundation would not have been ready. The people you needed to meet were not yet in place. The lessons you needed to learn had not yet been learned. Every delay was divine timing, shaping a perfect outcome. The waiting was not empty, it was pregnant with purpose. When you walk through the valley of waiting, your mind will be tested, your heart will be stretched, and your patience will be purified. You will question the purpose of your delay and the silence of heaven. But remember, this God is not punishing you. He is perfecting you. Waiting is not about standing still. It's about growing deeper. It's about learning to breathe faith when everything around you screams uncertainty. Waiting is where your inner strength is formed, where your roots grow strong enough to carry the weight of the blessing that's coming. You see, God does not give ordinary blessings to those who carry extraordinary callings without first refining their spirit. The deeper your calling, the longer your preparation. The higher your destiny, the greater the discipline required. Some people are rushing to doors that God has not unlocked yet, trying to force entry through human effort, but God will not allow you to enter a place your spirit cannot sustain. That is why He keeps you waiting, not because He's cruel, but because He is careful. God is careful with His chosen ones. He would rather delay your success than let success destroy you. Sometimes the greatest act of love from God is not what He gives, but what He withholds. What He withholds is often His protection in disguise. If you only knew what dangers He prevented, what disasters He delayed, what betrayals He blocked, you would thank Him for every unanswered prayer. You would praise Him for every closed door, for every person who walked away, for every plan that failed. Because sometimes what doesn't happen is the greatest miracle of all. Waiting forces you to confront what you truly believe about God. It reveals whether your faith is dependent on evidence or anchored in conviction. When everything around you contradicts your prayer and yet you still say, God, I trust you, that is when your faith becomes unbreakable. True faith is not proven by what you receive. It is proven by what you endure while you receive nothing. God uses waiting to separate the superficial believer from the surrendered believer, the one who seeks results from the one who seeks relationship. When you are waiting, it may feel like your life has been placed on hold, but in reality, you are in the most important chapter of your story, the chapter of becoming strong, becoming wise, becoming spiritually grounded. God is more interested in who you are becoming than in what you are receiving. Because when your inner life matures, every outer blessing will naturally align. God is shaping your identity so that when the blessing comes, it will not change you, you will change it. There is a mysterious beauty in the way God works. He doesn't show you every detail because the unknown keeps you dependent. If you knew how everything would unfold, you would no longer need faith. So He conceals what your mind cannot yet handle and reveals what your heart is ready to receive. That is why the waiting season feels like walking in fog. You can only see the next few steps. But that is enough, because faith was never meant to see the entire path. Faith was meant to trust the one who designed it. Do not let impatience convince you that God has forgotten. Impatience is the thief of destiny. It rushes what was meant to ripen, and anything that grows too fast will not last. God takes time because He builds to last. The blessing that comes too early will break you, but the one that comes on time will establish you. So, when it seems like nothing is happening, remind yourself something divine is developing, something sacred is maturing, and something powerful is on its way. The waiting season is where warriors are made. It's where you learn to fight, not with a fist, but with faith. It's where you learn that peace is not the absence of waiting, it is the ability to trust while you wait. God wants you to have a peace that is not tied to progress. He wants you to rest in the knowledge that He is working even when you see no signs of it. The world teaches you to panic when things stall, but God teaches you to praise in the pause. Because the pause is not a problem, it's a preparation. There will come a day when everything you waited for will arrive all at once. The doors will open, the opportunities will flow, and the pieces will fit. You will be overwhelmed by the speed of divine acceleration. But when that day comes, you will realize that the waiting season was not a waste. It was the reason you could handle the blessing. The waiting season built your endurance, purified your motives, and deepened your trust. Without that process, the blessing would have crushed you. Waiting teaches you the rhythm of heaven. The rhythm of heaven is not hurry, it's harmony. God does not rush because He knows everything happens in perfect alignment. You may want to sprint ahead, but God moves at the pace of purpose. Every step, every moment, every delay is part of a rhythm orchestrated by divine wisdom. If you could hear the melody of your life from heaven's perspective, you would see that nothing is offbeat. Every note has meaning. You must understand that God's timing is not slow, it's strategic. Every second is synchronized with the divine precision. You may think you're late, but in truth, you are right on time according to the eternal clock of purpose. God will never let you miss what belongs to you. If it's truly yours, it will wait for you. If it passes, it was never meant to stay. Stop grieving what God has removed. Start preparing for what He's about to reveal. Even in your pain, God is present. Even in your confusion, He is consistent. He is working through details you cannot yet interpret. The silence of today is the preparation for the sound of tomorrow. When the appointed time comes, what was quiet will suddenly shout. What was hidden will suddenly shine. What was delayed will suddenly deliver. Because when God decided the moment has come, no power on earth can stop what He has planned for you. Sometimes God delays your promise because He is preparing others who will be part of it. He may be molding someone who will walk into your life at the exact moment you need them. He may be orchestrating a chain of events in another city, another heart, another circumstance, all converging toward your destiny. So while you wait, understand this: you are not waiting alone. The entire universe is aligning for your appointed time. The beauty of trusting God is that you no longer need to understand everything. You just need to remain faithful. Understanding can fail, but faith never fails. Faith says, I don't see it, but I believe it. I don't feel it, but I know it's real. That kind of a faith moves the unseen. It opens doors that no key can unlock. It turns impossibility into manifestation. When your heart beats with unwavering trust, heaven responds with unstoppable favor. Do not let delay make you doubt. Delay is not defeat. Delay is the birthplace of destiny. Some of the most powerful moments in your life will come after the longest seasons of waiting, because waiting deepens appreciation. It transforms entitlement into gratitude. When you finally receive what you've been praying for, you won't just take it, you'll treasure it. You'll handle it with wisdom, honor, and humility, because you understand the cost of a faith that carried it to you. So when you find yourself weary, remember this: even when you can't trace His hand, you can trust His plan. Even when you can't see His movement, you can rest in His presence. God has not forgotten you. The silence is not rejection, it's incubation. Your destiny is incubating under divine heat. And when the time is right, it will emerge in full strength, bursting through every barrier that once held it back. Lift your eyes beyond what you can see. Look through the lens of faith. The story is not over. The chapter of fulfillment is being written even now. What you are waiting for is not lost. It is in progress. God is crafting every detail with precision. And when it arrives, it will not just meet your expectations, it will exceed them. Because God never gives you what you imagine. He gives you what your spirit was born to receive. Keep believing, keep waiting, keep trusting. Because the God who planted the vision in your heart will also bring it to pass. His timing is perfect, His plan is flawless, and His promise is sure. He is not just working on what you asked for. He is working on what you are waiting for, shaping it into something beyond your comprehension. And when that day comes, you will not only thank Him for the answer, you will thank Him for the wait. So now, as you stand in the middle of your waiting season, lift your eyes to the heavens and remember, nothing in your life is stagnant when God is involved. Every moment of waiting is divine motion in disguise. What feels delayed is actually being delivered through a higher process that your human eyes cannot yet comprehend. The silence is not punishment, it is protection. The pause is not neglect, it is perfection in progress. God is not slow. He is strategic. He is weaving threads of destiny so intricately that when it all comes together, you will be in awe of how every tear, every disappointment, and every delay was essential to the masterpiece He was creating. Do not grow weary. This season is not your end. It is your preparation for the unfolding of something magnificent. The waiting has been your classroom, the stillness your teacher, the silence your purification. When the appointed time arrives, you will not simply receive the blessing, you will become the blessing. You will embody strength, endurance, and divine confidence. You will carry the fragrance of someone who has been refined by waiting and touched by divine wisdom. There will come a day when you will look back and say, if I had not waited, I would have never become who I am now. You will see that the delay was the doorway, the stillness was the strategy, and the waiting was the womb where miracles were formed. What you thought was God's absence was actually His greatest work. Because God does not rush creation, He perfects it. So hold your peace, breathe in faith, rest in patience, for even now, in this very moment, while you are waiting, God is working. He is arranging people, opening unseen pathways, and preparing blessings beyond what your imagination can contain. And when it comes, and it will come suddenly, beautifully, powerfully, and perfectly. You will understand that every moment of silence was sacred, every second of delay divine. Therefore, wait with faith, not fear. Wait with confidence, not complaint. Wait knowing that the same God who planted the promise is faithful to fulfill it. Your waiting is not empty, it is alive with a purpose. Your faith is not forgotten, it is being recorded in the realm of eternity. And soon, when the time is right, what you prayed for, cried for, and believed for will stand before you as proof that God was working all along on what you were waiting for.